Okay, this is not a drill. This is actually happening. Right now, there is a company about to do $1.8 billion in revenue in just its second year. It was started with a $20,000 investment, and it's basically run by just 2 people. Now, what's interesting is obviously the story, but not just that, is what this now means for how e-commerce businesses are going to be built from now on into the future. So now I'm going to break down and explain what's happened here, and talk about it from the point of view of someone who's generated their own 7-figure e-commerce business, and talk about what this means for how I'm going to move forward with scaling e-commerce brands. So the company is called Medvy. Let me bring up the Forbes article that tells the story, and because it's an insane story. So Medvy is a company that is a telehealth business. It sells weight loss medication. It's not some crazy AI startup, which you might have predicted. It launched just 2 years ago in 2024. So in its first year in business, it generated $401 million in revenue. And it's an e-commerce business, and essentially it's using the drop shipping fulfillment method. Now it's on track to do 1.8 billion in annual sales for 2026. And the entire thing is being run by an entrepreneur called Matthew Gallagher and his brother. Now, there's no huge team, there's no engineering team, no marketing department, no big operations team. It's just those two and a stack of AI tools doing the work that dozens of people used to do. And if you look at Medvy now against a huge competitor in the space called Hims and Hers, look at the difference. They are catching up rapidly with the revenue numbers that Hims and Hers generated. They did 2.4 billion in revenue last year. Medvy's run rate is to do 1.8 billion, and that's only their second year in business. But the crazy part about the head-to-head here is the number of employees. Medvy is just 2 employees, whereas Hims and Hers has 2,442 employees, and they're almost operating at a similar size. Now, this is, if anything, the huge indication of what's going to happen for businesses moving forward, especially e-commerce businesses. So this is how it works. Ultimately, Gallagher has set up a very, very lean business, and he's partnered with 2 suppliers, as we'd call them as drop shippers or e-commerce business owners. They have 2 infrastructure platforms, CareValidate and OpenLoop. Now, they are effectively acting as suppliers that drop ship products to the customers, but they, as well as all of the fulfillment, they also have licensed physicians, they have the prescription processing, all of the legal requirements for selling these type of products are covered by their suppliers. So Gallagher didn't need to get anything himself in terms of actual certification for selling these products. He just needed to be the genius behind the marketing. So what Medvy does is the customer relationships, so customer service, but branding, website, paid media, and actually checking out on the website is all handled by Medvy. And he said in an interview that anyone could have done this with AI and some marketing proficiency. He didn't need any kind of degree or any kind of specific certificates to be able to generate this kind of business, which is pretty incredible to think about. I've partnered with my own suppliers and they handle the fulfillment for me. So it's a very similar business model for what I'm already doing with my own e-commerce business, having suppliers drop ship for me. But this guy's just doing it on steroids. You know, I've heard that he had like 4,000 ads running at one time, generated by AI, in order to hit the scale required to hit this level of revenue. And see in a bit more detail, this article here talks about using ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Midjourney and Runway, and even 11 Labs. These are all tools that we have access to at super low cost, that's been able to build the amount of value that he's produced here. And you can see his suppliers have even asked him questions. He's asked, have you got an army of people behind you that's able to generate all these sales? And yeah, he just replies, no. He's obviously got AI that's doing the work of what 2,500 employees do at their competitor's firm. And if you go through the Forbes article as well, the biggest point to take away about how they've done this, they've partnered with 2 suppliers. They're selling the GLP-1 weight loss medication, so Ozempic type of products that are weight loss products. They've jumped on this massive wave, and they've been able to be super lean using AI tools to generate an incredible amount of value for them, for their business. Now, at the time of recording, I know that there are some cases being brought against the business, so we don't know what's going to pan out, but there are certainly a lot of lessons that we can take away. I think the real insight, not just the story, is that there was an old way of doing e-commerce and there's now a new way of doing e-commerce. The old model is to hire a big team, have big departments, have a big head count. The new model is to use AI tools, is to plug into existing infrastructure and to stay very lean. So what used to have to take 50 people to be able to do or more can now be done by just 2 people with knowledge of how to use AI. Now, this is a big, uncomfortable truth that we need to accept as e-commerce business owners, is that if you're running your e-commerce brand and you're feeling like you're still running it like it's 2015, then you're going to get caught out by competitors who are able to operate in the way that this example is showing us. For example, if you're hiring too early, or if you're doing everything manually, if you are the one that's responsible for all the areas of the business and you're not outsourcing and having people who are better in those areas do that for you on your behalf, then you're going to become the bottleneck to the business. Today, we don't have the issues of the past where we don't have access to incredible genius support groups. We don't have the previous requirements of having to put loads of capital into businesses to generate large businesses. This was done with a $20,000 investment, and it was able to build it to $1.8 billion in revenue in just its second year. What we need to have now, or the problems that we do have now, is the distractions. It's the ability to do everything ourselves and not instead putting in AI tools that either make the decisions for you or bringing in outsiders that are experts. So, for example, with the marketing here, bringing on people that will either generate the ads for you or AI that will generate the ads, or working with influencers and having an army of influencers that are instructed by your AI tools to generate these sales. And it's about having a customer service team that's either outsourced through AI or a team of virtual assistants, or bringing in an operations expert who can handle the virtual assistants for you and the systems in your business to run it day to day. So if you're running an e-commerce brand right now, this story should completely change how you think about how you're going to grow your business in the future. When you think of your customer support, how can you have AI or AI plus VAs in order to do that without needing you? For your operations, how can you put systems in place that are generated by AI or managed by AI in order to run the day-to-day of your business? In terms of marketing, how can you stay lean and use AI to market better? The key is that we don't need a bigger team here. We just need better leverage from the people that you already have in your team. Now, what I see happening, and the founders that I work with e-commerce founders that are doing 20K a month, and they're trying to get to their first 6-figure month, so doing 100K plus per month. What holds them back is them as the founder being the bottleneck, not thinking big enough and trying to take on too much as the founder themselves. What I do with e-commerce founders is I audit how they're spending their time. We put systems in place to document how the business runs, and then we hand that off either to AI or to VAs so that the founder can focus on the high level decisions and scaling. So if you're watching and you've got your own e-commerce brand, go inwards and ask yourself, where am I the bottleneck in my business? What systems do I need? What leverage can I use in today's market in order to get me out of the things that aren't generating revenue every day, so I can focus on what I do best and what actually scales the business? So my summary from this story is ultimately we need to look at running e-commerce businesses differently moving forward. The question is no longer about, can I grow this to a significant scale with a small team? It's actually the question we ask ourselves is, how lean can I be in order to grow this? And what experts in different areas of my business can I outsource things to in freelancer models in order to not take on the liability of a big team, but to scale with a focused, concentrated group of people that know exactly what they're doing for each department and scale the business to this kind of scale. Huge opportunities out there at the moment. Partner yourself with the right people in order to focus on what actually matters. And yeah, this is just opening the door. We haven't yet had the first one-person billion-dollar company. This is a two-person billion-dollar company. But Sam Altman said, the CEO of ChatGPT a couple of years ago, that it won't be long until we get a one-person billion-dollar company. Well, here we go. We're almost there. Who's going to be the first person to build that first billion-dollar company? So we'll be watching. With that said, hope you enjoyed the video today. Let me know if you have in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.